Joe Bush. It's an honor to be here tonight with all of you, and I'm humbled to be in the presence of such courageous cancer survivors on the stage. I'm an oncology nurse, and I'm also a 3-time cancer survivor. I began my nursing career as a candy striper in high school. I was a little younger back then. After obtaining my bachelor's degree in nursing, I worked for 5 years as a staff nurse in the specialty of oncology. It was then that I attended UCLA to obtain a master's degree in oncology nursing. It was 6 weeks prior to my graduation when I was diagnosed with malignant melanoma. The diagnosis impacted both my personal and my professional life. At the young age of 28, and happily married, I had really wanted to start my family, but for 3 consecutive years was warned against the risk of pregnancy and recurrent disease. Professionally, it became difficult for me to start on my new position as an oncology clinical nurse specialist when I suddenly found myself a cancer patient also. Fortunately, in the ensuing years, I remained disease-free. I was blessed with a beautiful son named Derek, who's in the audience. I also attended Pepperdine University. I wanted to obtain a second master's degree in clinical psychology. This enabled me to become a therapist for both patients and families who are confronting cancer. It was in 2006 that I was lucky enough to come to Premier Oncology and be a nurse practitioner. But unfortunately, a year later, in 2007, I was admitted to the hospital for an emergency appendectomy. During surgery, a 5-centimeter tumor of unknown origin was found on my appendix, and the news we got was devastating. During the workup for the appendiceal tumor, a primary breast tumor was found on MRI that hadn't shown up on mammography about 9 months earlier. Many surgeries followed. I had a right hemicolectomy for the appendiceal tumor, and then I had a total abdominal hysterectomy as a preventive measure, because I had had a history of 3 cancers by then. And then I had 2 lumpectomies and a sentinel node dissection for the breast cancer. 6 months of chemotherapy was prescribed for the ovarian cancer, followed by 2 months of radiation therapy for the breast cancer. I was able to cope with the help and support of family and friends and colleagues. I also hung tight under the coattails of all my many patients who for many years had shared their own stories of hope and courage. But it was after treatment ended that I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress syndrome. The unrelenting fatigue and the residual side effects of chemotherapy and radiation negatively affected my quality of life, and I also had to resign my beloved nurse practitioner position at Premier Oncology. But again, through the help and support of those who loved me, I was able to travel my journey of PTSD. I am now blessed to be a clinical professor in the Graduate Oncology Nursing Program at UCLA, and it is my privilege to be able to teach graduate oncology nursing students, some who are in the audience tonight, to teach them about the path and the journey that patients and family walk when they're faced with the diagnosis of cancer. I am also now this year a 4-year cancer survivor again. And my husband and my sister and my mother-in-law are all cancer survivors also. So we hold this. So tonight what I want to share and what I want to ask, well, first I will share that during diagnosis and during treatment, it was the physicians and the nurses and the staff at Premier Oncology who became my advocates for my journey and also became my extended support system. They were a lifeline for me, as they are for many other patients and family members. And as a nurse, I know that medical research and clinical trials and innovative programs are so vital to cure and control this very frightening disease that we call cancer. So I thank you for making advanced treatments possible with your generous donations, and ask you to please contribute to the Premier Oncology Foundation in the future, because I know that I never would have made my own journey without all of them. Thank you so much.
Towers and flows of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air and feathered canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that way, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow.
Good evening. My name is Susanna Lucarelli, and my connection to cancer, sadly I lost a close friend of mine, Rudy Valentino Ochoa, this year. He was 29 and left behind 2 little boys and the love of his life, and this is to him. I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing lessons we must learn, and we are led to those who help us most to grow if we let them, and they help us in return. Now I don't know if I believe that's true, but I know I'm who I am today because I knew you. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, I have been changed for good. It well may be that we will never meet again in this lifetime. So let me say before we part, so much of me is made from what I learned from you. You'll be with me like a handprint on my heart. And now whatever way our stories end, I know you have rewritten mine by being my friend. Like a ship blown from its mooring by a wind off the sea, like a seed dropped by a skybird in a distant wood. Who can say if I've been changed for the better? But because I knew you, I have been changed for good. And just to clear the air, I ask forgiveness for the things I've done you blamed me for. But then I guess we know there's blame to share, and none of it seems to matter anymore. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. Who can say if I've been changed because